Why should we expect the unexpected? Would I believe you if you told me 10 to 15 years ago my parents would be separated? I would be diagnosed with an incurable digestive disorder and I would have 27 pets. To be honest, no, I wouldn't. I had a happy childhood, loving parents who never fought, at least in front of me. For all I knew, everything was perfect. The signs were always there, though. I was too young to notice. My parents wanted to shield their marriage issues from me. I have an older half brother, and I'd say we get along well as siblings could get along. I had two puggles, pug beagle mixes, and I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. I don't remember much of this, but my parents told me they split up when I was around the age of 5. I spent a month living with my grandparents, but my parents decided to give their marriage another shot for me and got together for about 5 or so more years. However, I am still very close with my grandparents. They continue to be very active in my life, and I see my grandpa as another father figure to me. I have a half brother on my dad's side who is 6.5 years older than me. He spent a lot of time at his mom's house as a teenager while I was growing up. I did look up to him a lot, though. There were times he would have to babysit me, and we would play video games together. I honestly had no idea I would lose contact with him when my parents split up. I missed him a lot during that time, but I thought it was just because he was being a moody teenager who wanted to spend time with his friends and not with his clingy little sister. I often look back to how our relationship was before my parents split up, and I am grateful for that time together. I regret not reaching out to him more, but I am happy with the relationship we have now. In 2013, my parents sat me down on the couch together and told me my mom would be moving out the following weekend. They were separating and getting a divorce. For real this time. I was told I would get 2 Christmases and 2 birthdays, as well as 2 bedrooms. I was 12 at the time and knew this was a lot bigger than just two of everything. Nothing would be normal again, or at least what I considered normal. Unfortunately, this meant sometimes only one parent would experience big milestones with me at one time. My first school dance or even my first boyfriend, but both parents try to be active in my life consistently. They stayed good friends and were tolerant of each other so they could both experience my life with me. I was always so grateful for that, since most parents who separate aren't so friendly towards each other and end up missing out on their child's growth. They're still friends. Sure, this rearrangement was less than ideal, but it was change, and that's not always a bad thing. I just wanted my parents to be happy and comfortable as well. I mean, I wasn't happy about it at first. I wanted my parents to be together because that was the easier and comfortable option. But sometimes easy isn't always what makes people happy. It took many years for us to navigate what worked best for us. Switching houses and how often I got to see each parent. I mainly lived with my mom while my dad took me to dinner every Wednesday, and they each had alternating weekends. Holidays and school breaks were up for debate each year, but they didn't complain. They both wanted what's best for me, and what was best for me was them both to be active in my life. After the separation, I started to realize just how loving my families are on both sides. On my mom's side, everyone dating back to my great grandmother gets together multiple times a year still to this day. This includes my grandfather's siblings and their children and their children's children. We all adored my great grandmother, who loved to listen to stories from her grandchildren and listen to their laughter. She valued so many important things in life, such as compassion and acceptance. No matter who you were worthy of love. My entire family still uses these values in our everyday lives. My great grandmother unfortunately passed in 2020, right before COVID truly hit the United States. but we continue to see each other when we can. We still talk about her often, and even though it has been a few years, sometimes I could still imagine what it felt like to hold her hand and tell me, "Everything will be okay, kid." On my dad's side of the family, no one is really related. I never really knew anyone related to my dad because he was adopted. But while growing up, my parents volunteered at the local theater. Between acting, directing, and working as crew on multiple shows, we became close to others who volunteer as well. I consider them my family. They may become loud and over the top, but they are my family. We may not get together for holidays and see each other as often, but we do go on family vacations sometimes and continue to keep in touch, even throughout COVID. I love both of my families very much, and I'm very grateful for having them in my life consistently. In 2015, I was attending my required biology class, and during the middle of lecture, I began to feel a little queasy. A few days later, I found out that I lost 15 pounds in a matter of a week. The doctors became worried for my health and safety and sent me to the nearby hospital. This was the first time I was ever admitted to a hospital. This was the first time I've gotten an IV or given blood. It's funny to think how scared I was to do all of this, but because of my constant checkups, this has become normal for me now. After many tests, I was eventually given a diagnosis of Crohn's disease. While I was in the hospital, my brother visited me, and this slowly pulled us closer over time. So, what is Crohn's disease? Crohn's disease is a type of inflammatory bowel disease. This is found in the digestive tract and can cause fatigue, weight loss, abdominal pain, and many more severe and annoying symptoms. There's currently no known cure for this disease. This It's a lot of fancy words that means my digestive system isn't as good as everyone else's, and I will be sick for a very long time. Crohn's disease is different for everyone. It presents itself in many different ways. It affects me by making me nauseous and very tired all of the time, and occasionally having to use the bathroom a lot more than a normal person. Crohn's disease is also an autoimmune disorder, so this makes it easier for me to get sick. My Crohn's diagnosis is also affected by my mental health. Sometimes when I get overwhelmed or overworked, I can become sick and experience a flare up. And when I get overly anxious, oftentimes I can throw up and become very unproductive and unmotivated and very tired. To keep myself in remission the best I can, I take this medication called Humira. It is a very expensive pen, similar to an EpiPen. Once a week, I have to inject myself with this medication in my thigh, and if I forget, I risk having a flare again. It is painful but only lasts a few seconds. I have faced my own anxieties with this medication. I still experience my anxieties with this medication. I mean, no one wants to purposely stab themselves in the leg and feel pain for a few seconds. I've pushed off my medication due to this fear and even experienced panic attacks at just the thought of having to give myself my injection. Crohn's can be very scary, especially when receiving this diagnosis at first. But this was when I truly learned that it's okay to expect the unexpected. Nothing is truly off the table. I was terrified by this diagnosis. I didn't know what this meant for me and how hard it would become to manage. There are days that I forget I have this disease. I feel normal. There are other days where I am reminded I am sick and won't be getting better. Oftentimes, I wish to feel normal again. In December of 2018, my dad married my stepmom. I would be getting a new stepsister and living a life where my dad was happy with someone. We all get along, for the most part, but we lived together happily, and my family had just grown bigger. I was especially happy because my dad had someone who made him happy and feel younger. We have gone on many family vacations together and continue to volunteer at the theater. This is what we often bonded on, going to rehearsals all the time and making jokes about it. We have even gone on many road trips together and driven around the country. I'm happy to have them in my life and to see them make my dad happy. Summer of 2019, I learned my dad and the rest of my family would be getting kicked out of our home without much notice. We learned Arizona would be the best fit for them financially. My dad was sad he would miss my senior year, but we texted and visited each other as often as we could. He was still a part of my life. The first time I visited, I thought it was very beautiful, surrounded by mountains and cacti, but it was really hot. um, the state continues to make my dad happy, but I never would have thought life would have separated us by this distance. I'm very happy he found a place that makes him happy and comfortable. A few years after moving out, my dad and stepmom found a local theater, continued to make new friends and building his family and grow personally. In 2020, I was a senior when COVID hit. So, what did this mean to me as a graduate? The world shut down and everyone was barely allowed to leave their house. The class of 2020 was not allowed a prom or a graduation, so I sometimes forget I am actually out of high school. But even after the schools closed, I was able to finish with straight A's and receive my diploma. My dad came into town that the week I was supposed to graduate as a surprise, and I celebrated with both of my parents. I was also surprised by the graduation drive-by when people from both sides of my family got together and celebrated for me. I never would have thought that life would have gotten me here. I mean, at this point, so much has changed. How on earth could I have expected any of this to happen? All of this to say, COVID did strike anxiety in a lot of people, understandably, especially people with autoimmune disorders. During lockdown, I was hesitant to leave my house or even go grocery shopping. I barely left the house, but spent a lot of time doing crafts and playing video games, anything to really pass the time. Anytime I experienced a small symptom, however, my parents and doctors became very cautious to get me checked out to ensure my safety. Due to lockdown, this made seeing my dad easier due to school being online and my job at the time being shut down. I spent my first spring semester of college in Arizona doing my homework by the pool. I wasn't allowed to go in, it was too cold, but it was nice to soak the sun. I was able to spend more time with my dad that I had lost when he first moved. So, right now, I am experiencing a flare as I give this speech. I have not been able to attend school or work for over a month now. I have been throwing up after every meal and can barely get out of bed. I've been seeing a doctor at least once a week, and right now nothing seems to be working. They found more inflammation in my intestines, but at this moment in time, we don't know how to make my symptoms go away. It is very scary, and I wish I had answers, but I don't. I am making do with what I have now and try to keep busy by doing art and playing more video games. I'm trying hard to expect the unexpected. But what could happen to me now? How do I keep moving forward and moving on with my life with my current state? In all honesty, I don't know. I am scared, but I'm open minded to any change at this moment. I've learned a lot in the past 8 to 9 years. I've learned that my parents may be separated, but respect goes a long way. They're still friends and help make decisions about me. I regret not reaching out to my brother sooner, but I'm glad we are on better terms now and talk a lot more often. I never would have expected my life to have changed this much. No matter how normal life is, life can throw a curveball and change it completely. But change isn't necessarily a bad thing all the time. I think it is very important to anticipate change and expect the unexpected. Yes, I did say I have 27 pets. The majority are at my dad's house in Arizona, but they are all there. We rescued most, if not all of them, from local shelters. Each one has a different personality from the other, and each of them shine in their own way. I have one dog and two cats with my mom. At my dad's, I have 6 dogs, 12 cats, 2 fish, a lizard, and 3 sugar gliders. It can be a little chaotic at times, especially remembering their names. They're all different, and they're ours. We love them all the same. Some of my experiences have been less than ideal, but due to the love from my family, I was able to expect the unexpected. If I didn't expect it, I was given the support to accept the unexpected. I wouldn't change my experiences. They made me who I am. How could less than a decade change a person so much? Sometimes I wonder if one thing was different, how much the rest of these events might have been different. Would I still be the same person? There's no way of knowing, but I am who I am. I have accepted the unexpected. I wasn't ready for the change, but I am more prepared for any change coming my way. And this entire presentation is a true story.